It's 10 a.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. It's Business Morning live from Channels HQ. I'm Ladi Williams. Wow, it's the last one for the month of May. Let's see what's happening in oil markets now. We see oil prices extended losses earlier today as worries of slowing demand from top oil importer China after release of weaker than expected economic data outweighed some positive progress on the U.S. debt ceiling bill. Brent crude futures for August delivery slipped about 15 cents to $73.56 a barrel, while U.S. WTI crude, that fell about 14 cents to $69.32 a barrel, with earlier gains reversed after China's manufacturing data was released. Both benchmarks fell by more than 4% yesterday. The debt deadline nearly coincides with the June 4th meeting of OPEC+, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, including Russia. Markets participants had mixed views on whether the group would increase output cuts as a slump in prices weigh on the markets. To the grain markets now, we see Chicago wheat that slid to its lowest in 2.5 years today, with the market declining for an 8th consecutive month as improved U.S. crop condition and concerns over global economic growth weighed on prices. For May, wheat is down about 7.8%, falling for the 8th month in a row. Corn is risen 0.7% after closing sharply lower in April, and soybean that's down about 9.4%, the second month of losses. Ukraine is seeking guarantees from Moscow and the UN that a deal on the safe export of Black Sea grain will work normally if Kyiv allows Russian ammonia to transit Ukrainian territory. And barely 24 hours after President Bola Tinubu's inauguration speech, where he affirmed his stance that petrol subsidy will end, fuel queues have resurfaced in different parts of the country. In some states, there are reports that prices have gone up as much as 250 to 700 naira per litre, while other stations are not even selling the products at all. And the long queues, of course, gridlocks on the roads. Take a listen.
No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
It's not the first time the polity reacts to issues around fuel distribution and sales. This time, it's clear and unambiguous. Government is no longer interested in paying for some of your bills when you buy petrol, which is fuel subsidy.
So today, the country don't have the money to pay for subsidy. Today, we are waiting for them to settle up to 2.8 trillion naira of NNPC's cash flow.
What will tomorrow bring? Today is that tomorrow talked about yesterday. So in the commercial city of Kano State in northwest Nigeria, long queues have returned. Down to the oil-rich south-south state of Rivers, some fuel stations were closed while others have jacked up their prices and are selling between 350 and 500 naira per litre.
General text message can go all around, maybe from MTN, Glo, Airtel. They can go around and send general text messages to people. Okay, from tomorrow, so thing and so thing will take place. There will be changes in so and so thing. And these are your own, these are the principle that is guiding this policy. No principle, nothing.
Still from the pronouncement, and next door neighbor, people appear stranded at the petrol stations across Yenagoa, as most of the petrol stations are short.
5 litres I want to buy for 2.5 now, I never work reach 1,000. The money, the fuel don't finish.
502 naira per litre. It's going to 700.
In a Del State, it was a bit heated.
We bought fuel at 450 this morning from Tama. That's why we are selling at the rate of 500.
Hello, let her bring it.
No, that's not true. There is no sales without an invoice.
Going up to the capital city, Abuja, fuel queues exist, but the prices are the same. Already, stakeholders in the downstream sector have reacted in a statement which reads in parts. The Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, and Depot and Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, applaud and endorse the pronouncement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the phase-out of the petrol subsidy regime. We appreciate the clarity of policy from the Tinubu administration, a direction that signals a courageous and pragmatic shift in our nation's economic trajectory. Off quote. Which leads us to the response by the regulator.
Ourselves, NNPRA, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, will make sure that the customer or the consumer is not taken advantage of.
Clearly, there's been a disruption in supply, leading to the big question, how long will these queues last? What price will become the new range? Will some entities join in product importation? Will things pan out as planned by the federal government? What will tomorrow bring? Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
What will tomorrow bring?
Definitely sad to see the queues are back again with all the gridlock it brings to the states now. But to our first conversation, we see the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee, the raised rate for the 7th consecutive time on May 24th, continuing its year-long tightening cycle. The MPC voted for a 50 basis point increase to 18.5%, and in his inaugural speech, President Tinubu did say rates are too high and will come down. Let's talk now to Mr. Paul Olaje, senior economist, SPM Professionals, about what rate cuts would mean for the Nigerian economy. Great to have you. Good morning. But first, let's start off with this fuel crisis at this point now. I'm sure getting to our Abuja studio, you did experience some fuel queues and gridlocks right there. Looking at everything, was this the best way to start off this administration? And looking at what was said, at the inaugural speech, did the president have to say, talk about, fuel subsidy? And looking at where we are now, how can they save this situation?
Well, thank you so very much for having me. I remember that we had conversation about fuel subsidy time and again, and we also mentioned some of the key things that must be done, that should be done, as advised to the former administration. Remember that 2020, the then Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Demis Priscilla, had announced that subsidy had been removed in the year 2020. That was, I think, the last quarter of 2020. But 2021, subsidy resurfaced. By the way, Mr. Demis Priscilla will not be the first person to announce subsidy removal. The military president, the military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, had announced it. General Sani Abacha announced it. President Obasanjo announced it. President Goodluck Jonathan announced it. Then President Buhari, the president that just left office less than 48 hours ago, also announced it. The next person announcing it is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Something is consistent. All these leaders feel subsidy should go. But let's look at the economics of it, and let's look at why, in spite of those announcements, the show of will at the beginning of administration, how come this subsidy from time to time returns back to the cost or to the payment of PMS by Nigeria? The truth is, alternatives have not been provided. We had advised earlier that refineries should work. Remember that President Buhari's administration had promised that several thousands of people's vehicles will be converted from petrol to gas. Today, I really don't know how many vehicles have been converted. Before we get to this point, we have seen queues all over the country, from Cross River, where I was yesterday, to FCT, where I am right now. We have seen queues virtually all over the country. Our research assistant has also confirmed that there are queues virtually everywhere in the country. Now, this queue we have options, because as we speak, subsidy has not been removed. And you could hear incumbent saying, as of now, subsidy has not been removed. To the last day government has made provision for, then you will have to carry your faith by yourself. You will have to decide whether you need or not. That in itself has a lot of implication. The first implication is that we are not sure whether the economy is going to grow. Government is targeting 6% GDP growth rate. If people don't have access to what they need, then will they be able to? Government often compare Nigeria with the rest of the world, such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, where petrol are sold, where PMS are sold for equivalent of 600, 700 naira per liter. The question is, what happens to effective demand? You cannot say you want to compare forces of demand without looking at the effectiveness of demand. The National Bureau of Statistics is an agency of government that we must respect. That agency says 133 million Nigerians are living in multi-dimensional poverty. They don't have vehicles. If they have vehicles, then you cannot totally say they are poor. But they don't have vehicles. How do they move from one point to another? Perhaps prices would increase by 100% or 120%. If it increases, how will they get to the location where they make their living? Maybe they are employed or they are engaged in menial jobs. If they're employed by organization, is it guaranteed the organization will increase their wages or their salaries? If they are into small businesses, micro scale businesses, are we guaranteeing that these businesses will have more money? Because certainly increase in prices will affect them. So here is it. What should we therefore do about subsidy? I am of the opinion that there should be alternative in terms of refinery. The good news is that the last administration, towards the end, commissioned Dangote refinery. Dangote have said, well, by end of July, August, thereabout, we'll start pumping PMS. That means we can reduce some of the cost, the actual cost. And I've also advised that we should not rely just on one refinery. Government should give out those 4 refineries to private sector whose interest is to make profit. And if subsidy must remain, the truth is that we have to do something about supply. It's either we give it as subsidized crude to Dangote. If you notice, our population cannot buy this moment. We might want to subsidize the crude we are giving to Dangote. So we don't give subsidy in the real sense, but the price of PMS in Nigeria, because we are oil producer, for God's sake, we can sell at a price, maybe not necessarily 195, maybe 200, maybe 250, but our people will still be able to survive and they'll be able to buy it. And I think it's a suggestion to government, instead of selling at international rate to Dangote, you might want to consider selling at subsidized rate, especially for some time, where other refineries come on stream, then you can compete with Dangote refinery, so that we have multiple refineries in Nigeria, and we are sure that when subsidy is removed, Nigeria certainly have alternative. But that's, by the way, not the only thing. There are 2 or 3 other things I've mentioned, but I don't know if time will permit. We might look at that so that we can focus on monetary conversation.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we need to solve this problem. We need more refineries to be able to refine our oil at this time. But talking about rising prices at this time, see, President Tinubu did hint at cutting rates, said that the current rate, about 18.5%, is too high. But we have inflation of about 22.22%. What happens if we start cutting rates?
If you cut rates, inflation is going to go higher. It's just going to be automatic, because why you see after 2.2% compared to Ghana that is having over 30%, in some instances 40%, countries are having up to 100%. If you cut rates without complementing it with the key reasons why you have inflation, a monetary authority decide to cut rates, be ready for 28 to 30% inflationary rates. So I understand that the statement of the president are laws or policy as it were, but I also want to believe that those that are working with the president, we look at how do we have convergence in policy between fiscal, trade, and monetary authority, so that even though we may not necessarily further increase rates, or we may marginally reduce rates, because the rate you see that is high, the president was right, President Tinubu was right, when he said that's implication in cost of borrowing. Maybe he did not say that directly, but when the rates are high, it has direct implication on cost of borrowing. So you want to give that to him. On the other hand, you want to be mindful of inflation. I cited with one of your colleagues in Abuja that if somebody earned 250,000 in January 1st, he got an engagement letter in December to resume resume 1st of January. The person resumed 1st of January 2021. By December 31st, 2023, that 250,000 salary is earning has automatically reduced in value to 100,000 naira. No text to inflation. These are not my figures. This is what the National Bureau of Statistics of Nigeria said. Inflation averaged 20% per annum. And these are just official figures. So in reducing rate, we have to be mindful that we are not making gain in one hand and inducing inflation on the other hand. Honestly, these are decisions between the devil and the deep blue sea. And I hope authority will take care in making these decisions.
But some have argued that, rate hikes is not the way to, bring down Nigeria's type of inflation here because it's supply side, driven. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with them, but you see that we have been clapping with one hand. What I've seen over the years in the President Buhari administration, former president, is that Nigerian policymakers, especially fiscal, monetary and trade, have been clapping with one hand. We have only been seeing the monetary authority take decision. Fiscal authority must understand that most of the things, what is really driving inflation at 24%, the real driver holding the steering of inflation is food inflation. Food inflation is 24%. Why? Because most of the farmers have gone to IDP camps, and we still have terrorism, banditry, kidnapping happening in most of the farms. What should we therefore do? That is on one hand. On the second hand, we have logistic related issues. The Central Bank of Nigeria cannot solve that. It is beyond the central bank decision of purview to, because if you have a distortion in supply side, certainly prices of commodity will be affected, and that is what you've seen. So in correcting that, we need government, we need fiscal authority, we need to work with the military, we need to encourage the military to be more present, we need to give moral support, equipment support, and to encourage people. And my advice to the new government has been, create farm ops where you have control. It's not a new idea. I've mentioned that Obafemi Awolowo, the late sage, created similar things. Put it in all local government, put it in all the states, so that your output can be managed, your output can be controlled. That will induce food supply. When food supply exceeds beyond what you are demanding for, the price will come down. That will definitely have impact on headline inflation. Another thing you need to look at is where is the theater, where is the position, where is inflation really presenting itself as king? Is at urban center. The National Bureau of Statistics quickly combined what is happening to rural inflation and urban inflation, and clearly from the report of that agency of government is revealed that the urban, the center, the theater of inflation is at the urban center. What should we do? What do we consume the most in urban center? Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Kano. Most of them are imported goods. Why? Because when we import, we make some decisions. Anything you import, you are telling central bank to reduce FX, foreign reserve. Then you consume the commodity, but the most painful thing in imported goods all the time, especially things we can produce locally, is that we are saying international community gets the job, while local community, which is Nigeria now, we want to increase unemployment. And of course, the implication is disastrous.
All right, let's look at the issue of debt. Now, we see the House of Representatives, they've increased the limit with the way the federal government can borrow from the central bank through ways and means advances from 5% to 15%. What's the implication of this? And before you continue, tell me why it was pegged at 5% before now.
Well, it was pegged at 5% because to tame the appetite for borrowing and for government to be serious with generating revenue and not relax that if we have access to 50%, 15% or 20%, we can always go to the central bank and collect an advance. Remember that those monies are not supposed to be loans, they are supposed to be advanced to be paid back within the same budget year. So what you saw in 2022 was that instead of 5%, the last administration collected advances up to 91%. That's over 86% more than what was planned in the Central Bank Act. But that said, that loan has been converted to loan 22.7 trillion naira. That's what is reported. It has not been securitized. So you have that, and government is saying, even though in economics we call that self-medication, we have given 3 years moratorium for such, and we now say that after 3 years, the interest will be at 9%. But whatever it is, if you have that to debt profile of what the last administration has handed over to the brand new president, it will be about 70 trillion naira. Now, it has been expanded to 15%. What does it mean? 15% not of anything, but 15% of the revenue we generated in 2022. So we need to look at what we generated in 2022 and say, anytime we need fund, and maybe we have put in the market bonds, or we have put in the market treasury bills, or we're expecting revenue from oil or non-oil sector, FRS, immigration, we can take 15% as a benchmark for last year revenue to come as advances. Government can use that. For instance, government want to pay civil servant, or government want to implement one project or the other. Before the money comes, central bank can come as a banker's bank and lend to government, then government can spend such money. But that is not without implication, because if the appetite of government goes further, I'm afraid we may be back in the 90, 91, 96% territory, just as we saw in the last administration. So caution must be taken very carefully.
Before I let you go now, looking at the Tinubu government at this point, how can they navigate all these headwinds without racking up more debt?
Well, I strongly believe in President Tinubu, and the reason why I said that is because of what he did in Lagos. I'm really very hopeful that he will combine his team right. You know, what went in for the new president is that he did well by putting the best mind together when he was in Lagos. Abuja, will it be the same? We are very hopeful that even though the president has started making, some appointment around the media, but when he gets to the key sector of the economy, security, are we going to have the best bet? When you have the best bet, don't worry, the president by himself does not need to do one or to perform those tasks. Once he has his men and they are competent, they are qualified to do it, we want to believe that his target of having 6% GDP growth rate will be achieved, even though that may be tough for 2023. I need to mention that. But 2024 being a fresh year, we hope he will present his budget by October latest. If he does all of those, then we can say that, yes, the president, we have an outstanding administration.
Yeah, definitely a tough task ahead of the president there, and definitely we all need to be patient to tackle all of these headwinds. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Alaje, senior economist, SPM Professionals. Thank you. All right, so still ahead, we see President Tinubu says his government will create 1 million jobs in the digital economy. We'll find out the prospects of that next. Stay with us.
A rainy Children's Day at the open field arena of St. Saviour's School in Ebutemeta is lit up with a lot of excitement as PEP students treat the children from the school to a fun time. The party has over 200 children in attendance and features lots of fun activities, which has the children and their parents at the edge of their seats happily. Another highlight of the event is the demonstration of the proper way to brush the teeth. Children and guests present seized the chance to undertake a free dental checkup sponsored by PEP students.
One of our missions is to eradicate oral health diseases in the world and in Nigeria at large. And we've also noticed how this is causing absenteeism in schools. We've decided to take it as a mandate on us to educate kids on why they need to brush their teeth twice daily.
We know that when it comes to changing habits, you have to start from quite young. It's difficult for you to change the habits of an older person, and so that's why we go into primary schools to teach children about the benefits of brushing day and night, because we believe that it would help them imbibe the right oral health care right from when they are young, and they can grow with it.
The strong component of teeth that makes teeth strong and healthy Pepsodent has maintained the exact concentration of fluoride in their toothpaste, that particularly in our environments where our water is soft in these parts of the world.
For the school, it's commendation for Pepsodent, and there is a commitment from the kids.
As a parent and as an adult, in charge of any child, that is one simple thing to teach a child from a very young age, so that when they grow, and as they grow and they go on their own, they're able to do this simple task for themselves and know, the importance of hygiene, general hygiene, and in terms of brushing, dental hygiene.
Now with Pepsodent, I'll commit more to brush my teeth twice a day.
Unilever says it will continue to help increase awareness of the importance of maintaining good oral hygiene and educate the public on the major activities that help to ensure good oral hygiene.
Back now to our next conversation. As President Bola Tinubu took the oath of office, becoming the 16th Nigerian leader, Nigerians have called on him to tackle a host of issues. And today we're looking at unemployment and brain drain. Joining me now is Osita Nwajufor, founder, CEO, Black Tech, and official member Forbes Business Council. Joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. Good morning. Good morning. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Ladi, how are you today?
Oh, fantastic. I hear you loud and clear. I'm doing great. So let's get straight into it now. The president talked about creating 1 million new jobs in the digital economy. How do you see this becoming a reality?
Yeah, thank you so much. One thing about new government and policies is the fact that once a new government come on board, there is always that drive in terms of making pronouncements. Sometimes probably governments didn't look at data in terms of what has happened before now and what they can do differently. I know past administration have made comments like that. Even the last government has also talked about the fact that they want to create millions of jobs within the first 1 year in office. But what has happened, right? 8 years down the line, I don't think we can really vouch that the government have created millions of jobs they talked about creating. For me, I think this present government can do it. It's possible. It's something that governments all over the world have been able to do when there is political will, when they have the right people in the right places. These are possibilities. Look at, for instance, the last government. We talk about a policy where I think they gave out 20,000 naira to about 1,000 youths in 774 local governments in the name of job creation, right? When you look at policies like that, you are like, what is going on? What happens to those individuals now? You give them 20,000 naira, and after that, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months down the line, they go back to poverty. That is not job creation. So government really needs to, be more strategic this time around, working with private organizations, working with policy makers, and looking at statistics, most importantly, on how best they can create these jobs. A sustainable job, not just giving out money to people, but sustainable jobs. Some of these funds, for example, that the last government gave out to youths, can actually be channeled in creating industries in various local governments. Through PPP, public-private partnership, get organization to manage this establishment. By now, these companies will still be existing, and youth will be engaged for jobs in the years to come, not just handing out money. So I want to see policies where government is able to come up with the right programs, right initiative, and not just initiative just to appease certain group of people, but a sustainable plan towards reducing the unemployment situation in Nigeria.
I did see a survey recently by Phillips Consulting. It indicated that over half, about 52% of Nigerian professionals are considering leaving their current jobs and moving, abroad within a year. How can we realistically tackle this issue of brain drain? Because it's a very big one. There's a big competition globally for good talent, at this point.
Yeah, 52%. I mean, that might be probably a kind of conservative, right? It might not be a conservative number, I would tell you. But one thing about brain drain is the fact that brain drain is going to continue, right? It's going to continue. That's the truth. Except there is concerted effort by the government to do things that ordinarily a government should do. And what are we talking about? We are talking about setting up the right infrastructure. We are talking about putting together an organized environment that is devoid of too much security issues. There are so many security challenges that is facing the country today. There are a lot of professionals today. They are not moving abroad simply because of economic reasons. They are moving abroad because of insecurity, right? So I think the top priority for this government is to find a way to overhaul the entire security architecture of the country. When you have an environment with the right security, every other thing will begin to fall into place. So security, number one. Number two, we talk about healthcare system. Healthcare. Healthcare is key, right? You need to have the right healthcare because health is wealth. Even if you are rich and you cannot really boast of a good healthcare around you, there is that tendency for you to look elsewhere where you think you can easily get very good and qualitative healthcare. Then now we talk about education. Education is another key important aspect as well. Look at our budget on education. Look at the budget on education. Government needs to pay more attention, close attention to education, right? Because when there is proper education for youth, teaming youth, talking about professionals, leaving the university system. They come out from the university system, most of them, or let me say some of them, are unemployable, because there was nothing in terms of impact that the educational system have really given to them that they can use to compete with the outside world. And what do you see? Many people want to go to places where they can actually get all these resources. So the brain drain will continue, except the government becomes more aware of these challenges and putting measures to combat these challenges head on.
This definitely impacts, the businesses directly. What can they do, in their little corner to, retain most of these talents?
For businesses, what I would recommend for businesses obviously is because talking about insecurity, talking about healthcare, talking about education challenges that the country have, is not really about the government alone. I believe it's a collective effort. So businesses really have to work closely with the government, right? From the local to state and to federal, to see how they could work together, synergize, right? In helping with all these infrastructural challenges that the country is facing today. Because without fixing these infrastructural challenges, insecurity, healthcare, and so many other challenges that we are facing as a nation, I don't really think that there's something else that the business will be able to do. Because truth is, if you look at the exchange rate, many of those trying to go abroad, they are able to earn far higher than whatever companies will pay them in Nigeria, right? So how much will the business want to pay? How do you incentivize your employees in order to stay? It's difficult for the businesses. So I think the businesses need to find a way, a strategic way to work closely with the government towards addressing some of these challenges.
And definitely we have, a lot of people there looking for greener pasture, but at the same time, some do it wrongly, at this time. Even though migration in itself is not a bad thing, really. But for people that are looking to, migrate at this time, how do you do this responsibly, without, going there, becoming a burden in another man's country?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And when you talk about migration, I love the comment because, yes, migration is not a bad thing. It's been there for over the years. and it's going to continue. The major challenge with Nigeria today is the alarming rate. The alarming rate of brain drain, that is the major challenge. Look at the medical doctors, right? Like almost every medical doctor want to move abroad, for instance. So the rate is really on the increase, and the government needs to take care of that. But in terms of moving abroad, for anyone that want to move abroad, of course, planning is key. Planning is key. For us at Black Tech, we have really established an ecosystem of over 20,000 professionals. 99% of these professionals are Nigerians that have relocated to Canada. And what are we doing? Helping and supporting them with ways through which they could upskill in order to earn the kind of salaries they deserve in this part of the world. So when you are looking at immigration, you need to look at planning. You have to plan, understand yourself, what are the skills that you need to acquire. You need to develop capabilities. In-demand skills, especially in technology, because tech is the future. Acquiring all these kind of skills will help you. So when you come into this environment, you are marketable. You are able to, attract the kind of jobs, instead of working survivor jobs, easily you'll be able to, get into environment, get into companies where they can pay you six-figure salaries and above.
Right, because there's nothing wrong with, exporting brains, because that way you still get a big return, as a country when these guys bring in all of that foreign currency. Thank you so much, Mr. Osita Nwajufor, founder, CEO, Black Tech. It was great having your perspective today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lani. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a moment now. AFEX Commodities Market Update is next. To stay with us. All right, let's get a summary of action on the AFEX Commodities Exchange. In the last trading week, there was mixed performances across key indicators. Turnover fell by 84.64% from about 3.58 billion naira to 0.55 billion naira. Volume of contracts traded also fell to about 84.45%. There was a decline in the number of deals traded by about 20.67%. Closing at 119 points. The AFEX Commodity Index rose by 0.10%, closing the week at 480.98 index points, while the AFEX Export Index performed negatively, falling to 229.60 from 229.85 points. For the volume of contracts traded, there was reduced volume across all commodities. I see some price action now. To price across export commodities, we see sesame, ginger, and wheat maintained 1,247, 923, and 380 naira respectively. Other commodities witnessed mixed performances, with sorghum rising by 4.50% and closing at 274 naira. And soybean rose as well by 0.96%, closing at 322 naira 91 kobo. Paddy rice, that fell by 1.02% and closed at 334 naira 86 kobo. Cocoa fell by 0.54% and closed at 2,047 naira 20 kobo. Cashew nut also fell by 0.31% and closed at 607 naira 62 kobo. Across grain commodities, maize also dropped by 0.45% and closed at 246 naira 11 kobo per kilogram. For more, you can visit the website. That's at AFEX there, and you can also follow them on social media. The website, africaexchange.com, social media at AFEX Nigeria, and COMEX by AFEX. Let's take a conversation further now. In recent years, the agricultural sector has witnessed significant transformations driven by technological advancements and changing market dynamics. As industry becomes more interconnected and globalized, efficient market management practices become crucial for agricultural businesses to thrive. For more now, let's talk to Stephen Taiwo, analyst, COMEX retail at AFEX. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, good morning, Ladi. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So as the agricultural industry continues to evolve, how can B2B, that is business-to-business adoption, contribute to improving efficiency and streamlining operations within the agricultural value chain?
Thank you so much, Ladi. To answer your question, I think it's really quite interesting that first of all, we are kind of, acknowledging the fact that the agricultural value chain, particularly in Nigeria, is gradually evolving. But despite the challenges, it is very interesting to also know that B2B adoption has the potential for improved communication between business entities. So when I say business entities, you are also considering your processors and other big players within the value chain. And all this leads to, better coordination and also faster decision making. So going further, you also need to understand that B2B adoption within the value chain promotes quality control and traceability, and also B2B adoption kind of increased automation. So all this enables you to understand that for you to play in the value chain very well, you also need to understand that there is some certain standard requirements for the quality of products you are bringing, starting from the acquisition of commodities, talking about production and talking about processing. And another interesting fact about B2B adoption as regards to our agricultural value chain is the enhanced market access and expansion, and also talking about the improved collaboration among stakeholders within the value chain. But then overall, if you are looking at the B2B value chain within the B2B adoption within the agricultural value chain, you also need to understand that it creates opportunity for a more streamlined and efficient agricultural system. And this often leads to improved productivity and profitability for farmers and other business entities.
And how are you guys at AFEX, integrating B2B management into your operations?
Okay, so one of the ways we've been able to incorporate B2B management into our operations is through the fast adopted digital trading platform called COMEX. So COMEX, our digital trading platform, is specifically designed for the trading of commodities-backed instruments. So this platform allows business entities within the value chain to connect, then also negotiate and then transact with each other. That way, bypassing intermediaries. And one fantastic approach in our B2B is that we always encourage other business entities like the brokers, to come on board on the value chain, and then their own focus is to ensure facilitation of trade and also promoting product co-creation. So all this comes together to ensure that we have a robust system in our value chain, and to also ensure that these business entities create products that fully reflect market realities, and also create products that really fit into the investment goal of their clientele. So by fostering collaboration at effective exchange, we also understand the need to help business entities within the value chain that understand the benefits of creating commodities-backed instruments, and then with the aim of achieving economy of scale, reduce cost of production, and also increase profitability, and then thereafter more like enhance market competitiveness.
All right, so many opportunities there, but what are the potential barriers to that, B2B models could face when implemented in the agricultural space, and how can they be mitigated, most of these challenges?
So one of the many challenges currently within the B2B value chain as regards to agriculture is the, more like it boils down to the fragmentation of the industry, because we also need to acknowledge the fact that there are a lot of SMEs currently playing within the value chain, and then this is also making it very difficult for us to even establish a uniform standard and even attain streamlined processes in our operations. But then I think one of the ways we can actually improve upon this is to ensure that there's a robust collaboration across the value chain, between stakeholders, that way we'll be able to establish more standardized processes in our operations. And I think another point that I really consider a barrier within the value chain is in terms of regulatory and legal challenges. So complex regulations and legal framework in the value chain kind of hinders the processes. That we often see within the value chain. But then there are better ways that we can actually mitigate this challenge, and some of these ways involve being in constant touch with regulatory authorities, and also keep advocating for supportive policies and ensuring B2B platforms comply with relevant regulations. So, and I think another last point that I would want to consider a barrier to B2B adoption as regards the agricultural value chain is limited digital literacy. So when I say this, I actually mean some farmers and participants within the agricultural sector and even business entities have limited digital literacy or access to technology, and this is kind of posing a barrier to quick adoption of B2B. But there are better ways we can also try to work around this and mitigate all these factors. So this way to mitigate this particular factor of limited digital literacy is by more like coming up with training programs and then creating a user-friendly interface which can actually help us to bridge the digital literacy gap, making B2B platform accessible and user-friendly for all stakeholders in the value chain.
Fantastic. So much to unpack there. Thank you so much, Stephen Taiwo, analyst, Comex retail at Afex. Thank you. All right, we'll take a moment now. Business Morning returns in a moment. All right, well, Anita joins me now. Quite an incredible outing yesterday. The NGX, largest single-day gain.
Good morning, Ladi.
5.22%. Good morning.
The 5.22% is the largest single-day gain since November of 2020. That's almost about 3 years ago.
Wow.
But then the index figure, which is about well above 55,000 points, that's about the highest in 3 months. We had lost it. We fell to about 52,000. As a matter of fact, the market opened from Friday's close at 52,000, well above 52,000. But in just one fell swoop, all of a sudden, it went to above 55,000.
Incredible.
And then, of course, we'll be telling you more about the value that was added to the total value of equities listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. 1.5 trillion naira. Can you believe that? In just one single day, that's what the market gained. With about 64 gainers against 12 losers. This is how the market turned out: 30.349 trillion naira against just about 28.9 trillion naira. And then for the index, like I mentioned earlier, 55,738.35 points. That's for the all-share index. And this is because the market shared the pro-market policies announced by the new president, Bola Tinubu, which has spurred investors' confidence into the market, not just the equities market, but as well as the Eurobond market, as well as the money market. The Naira, we saw the Naira gaining. Let's have a bigger picture at the sectoral performance. Green colors, green arrows, that's what you see all across there. We saw the likes of MTN Nigeria, we saw the likes of Dangote Cement, Boa Cement, as well as the top three, the top five, what you call the Fugas, printing their green color on it and across all the sectors. Then in terms of the activity chart, we also saw very, very impressive green colors all across. Now, to tell us more about this, let's talk to Tajuddin Olayinka, the Chief Executive Officer of Wyoming Capital and Partners. Thank you for joining us, Tajuddin.
It's my pleasure. Good morning, Anita.
Yeah, I'm sure you were not expecting this massive gain for the market. As a matter of fact, at intraday, we were all surprised, but then the biggest surprise is what came out at the close of Tuesday's trading session. Can you tell us more about this?
Okay, yeah, what happened yesterday was just something I will call a historical market correction, because it didn't just happen yesterday. It started much earlier. It started way back in November 2022. And what happened was that, the moment three candidates of, three presidential candidates emerged as leading candidates, and market realized that these three candidates were pro-market. So market started recovering, even though MPR hiked, CBN continued to hike MPR. And so market defied that further MPR hikes and was not on the path to recovery, knowing full well that the three leading candidates were pro-market. And so the moment we went into electronic campaign and we still saw this potential in these three leading candidates, market kept on moving up. Market started recovery way back into the transition program. And so the moment Aswadu became the president and was now running, and it came to confirm that yes, truly he was pro-market. Markets reacted strongly. So markets just did some kind of historical recovery from what the state the market was in May 30th, 2022. That's just historical 1 year recovery. That's the way I put it, because market was actually up before CBN started doing the MPR hike in May 2022. So what we saw was more of a market market recovery. Taking back to the fact that interest rate is going to be moderated. Taking back to the fact that we are going to have a unified exchange rate regime. Also considering the fact that economy is going to run through a process of adjustment, and so when you have economy on this adjustment path, you are likely to have investors coming to the market, coming to the economy, and fill the gap. So it's a demand side market correction sort of.
Okay, Tajuddin, I'm sure you're quite so excited about this market's performance, of course, but we would not rule out the possibility of profit taking. But we thank you for your analysis and your time on our show today. So, Ladi, so that's it for the market. Yeah. But for the unlisted securities market as well as the fixed income market, all positive. Yeah. The market are all cheering this new government's policies.
Can we target the Tinubu rally?
We can call it, I don't know, last time we called it the Buharinomics. Okay. We'll call this the Tinubunomics.
Tinubunomics.
So we will have a new market language for that, maybe in time to come.
All right, we'll keep tracking that market. Thank you so much. Pleasure. All right, let's check on other markets. Not looking as good as what's happening on the NGX. There we see Bitcoin started a downside correction after it failed to clear the 28,500 resistance, and we see a big 2.60 drop there, $27,046. That's what we're seeing for the price of Bitcoin this morning. Ethereum, $1,861, also down about 2.04%. BNB getting to that shaky $300 level, down 1.83%. And we see Cardano down 1.43%. But on the flip side, XRP still looking strong right now, 51 cents, up 2.36%. They seem to be scoring points against the U.S. SEC at this time. But that's why we're seeing XRP still looking strong. Some analysts expect that this might actually continue this bullish run for what we're seeing. But it depends on what happens with that case. Are we going to hear that the XRP has won the case against the SEC? That would be quite incredible. All right, so another issue now. Hacks are a common occurrence in the crypto industry, and some protocols get exploited, at this time. And right here in Nigeria, a leading cryptocurrency platform did get hacked for about $2 million. Let's talk to Lowell Porokuna, Denny, financial market analyst and crypto evangelist. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Great to have you.
Good morning. So, these hacks are becoming a common in this crypto industry, with protocols getting exploited. Does this bring down arguments about self-custody? Is that the answer to these hacks? Because the customers suffer when the platforms get hacked.
Yeah, self-custody is very important in the crypto space, because you are able to hold your crypto in your personal wallet without having issues with centralized exchanges. I think we've had a lot of high-profile hacks with centralized exchanges of recent, and I think this is the latest. And it also serves as a reminder for companies and organizations to have robust and comprehensive security measures put in place to protect their customers.
And definitely, it's not easy being your own bank, because if you lose your keys to your wallets, when you hold some of these cryptocurrencies, you lose your keys, you have no access to your money, anymore. So it's still a difficult bit there, being your own bank, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite difficult, and that's why we have the popularity of centralized exchanges that come up and help people where you can recover your password. But at the end of the day, I believe that education is very important, and having multiple places where you're able to keep your private keys is one of the steps towards ensuring that you have your personal keys to yourself. Because if you look at it, in the past 6 months, we've seen the fall of FTX due to financial mismanagement. We've heard of so many crypto exchanges either having high-profile hacks, or we have seen a lot of security breaches in the crypto space. The best way is still holding your crypto in your personal wallet.
Yeah, and keeping your keys very safe, which is not easy, at this time. But thank you so much, Lord Porku Deni. Thank you for your perspective today.
Thank you.
All right, let's see what's happening with top gainers. Seacorn topping our counter up 3.09%. GRT, the graph, 2.24%. XRP also, coming up on the top gainers counter. AGIX, that's up about 2.08%. So we're seeing a downtrend right now in the market, but that's where we have single-digit gains. The biggest loser this morning, IOTA, 10.90% down, and the new meme coin, new kid on the block there, down 7.26% on profit taken on that. We see Kava also on that list, down 7.03%. All right, that's a wrap on the program, and that's how the market is looking today. Don't forget, join us at 1:30 on Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. Remember, you can watch this again on our YouTube channel. Just flip over to YouTube, search for Channels Television, check out videos, and you can watch all our production. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.